Keep calm and make a plan. Keep calm. The beautiful pictures that I had prepared are still in the computer somewhere out there. So bear with me. I'm going to try and paint you a picture of what you would have seen. You would have seen a picture of a pig. But you wouldn't have recognised it as a pig, because I'm going to talk quickly about my past job that I used to do back in the UK, and pigs were very much a part of that. Only we called them pipeline internal gauges. So these were about 3 foot in diameter, round, and we used to put them inside the high pressure gas pipelines, which are 36-inch steel welded pipelines. Open the door, put the pig in and launch it down the pipeline. Now some of you may have seen a James Bond where they put somebody in there. I think he crossed the border of Russia in something like this. So they do exist, these pigs, but not with people in them, I can assure you. My job was to plan out that sort of work, write a procedure. We called them NROs, non-routine operations. Because what I've described sounded quite simple, but that pipeline was filled with gas, natural gas, at 1,000 psi. So opening the door to the pig trap to put the pig in could be a little bit tricky. And here we have it. I've got a little pointer thing here that might help explain this. Thank you, Simon. Look, it's wonderful. I love technology, don't you? That's the pig there. This is the pig trap door, that one there you open, and that pipeline disappears over there somewhere. And that little thing there is what you're going to shove it in. So you open this door and put the pig in and fire it off down the pipeline. So quite a complex job if you don't want to blow yourself up. And when I write these procedures, someone said to me, the end of that procedure is something you don't write, isn't it? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, everybody goes home. That's what we aim to do. So not only did we plan out the job in detail, I had the honour of wearing a little white hat there, which means you're in charge, engineer in charge. And that means that you have to make sure that people actually follow every step. It's crucial that they do. So planning can be looking at detail. It also, we used to write in these procedures, what we call the contingency plan, because all good plans can go wrong. You never quite know what's out there. So the contingency was to sort of consider what happens if this happens or that doesn't work. What do you do about it? Don't be caught panicking. Let's just get on with the next plan, the contingency plan. Now, some people believe that Jesus was the contingency plan. They think God had this wonderful plan for a perfect world, which he made and filled and had us sort of in charge of. And that was a big mistake. He made a big mistake. He put someone like me in charge. Yes. And sin came into the world, and then he sat there for a couple of 100 years and thought, what should I do about it? He rolled up his sleeves and he came down and sorted it out. Put things right in Jesus. Contingency plan. I'll come back to that. First, I want to carry on talking about pigs for a minute. So, the big danger is fire. Because we're very much aware when we write these procedures of what we call the fire triangle. You have the ignition. The source could be just a spark. Someone dropping something on the floor, spark. There's air. Oxygen, actually, but air's got quite a lot of oxygen in it. You can't get rid of the stuff. It's all over the place. Just as well, really, otherwise we'd collapse, wouldn't we? And of course, in our case, there was gas. That's what we're moving. That's what the business was all about. But if we look at fuel, they are the 3 ingredients. Take any one of those away and you haven't got a fire. The easiest one, of course, to get rid of is ignition. And when I looked at ignition, I thought about the reading we've just had. And there's one little line that struck me like an ignition. Did you catch it? Let us start building. Nehemiah had gone to these people, and to me they were like dried up old pieces of paper that had screwed up and thrown and were just rolling around in the desert in the heat. But they needed an ignition, and they were ignited. Let us start building, they go. What was that ignition? Well, the ignition, I believe, was Nehemiah himself. He had the call. But he also had the blessing. Did you catch last week's reading? There was just one little line in it. Where is it? It's in Jeremiah 2:4. He's in the presence of the king, and he's got the long face on. Not a good thing in front of the king. And then the king notices and asks him, well, what's up with you then? Did you catch what he just said? Just very quick. It was just so quick. So I prayed to the God of heaven. Can you imagine that? He knows his life's on the line. And he sort of goes, God help me. Literally, God help me. Because he knows this could be, And God answers him. Because gives him the blessing. And what does the king do? And it says, actually, I've got it here. The words, granted all his requests. Wow. I think he actually granted more than his request. He gave him a rite of passage and supplies, you name it. He was on a mission now. And those three same ingredients Nehemiah used for his plan to rebuild the walls. He gave him his vision of the call that he had. He told them, and his words were, God has been gracious upon me. He told them he'd got God's blessing. And then he said to them, by the way, I've also got the wood and the bits and bobs to do it with. He had the three components to set them afire. And so they were. Let us build, they said. Let us build. How do these three elements help us look at God's plan? Has God got a plan? If so, what does it look like? Some people doubt those things. Here we go. Question mark. So, I want to look at the three sort of areas that you can have plans. You could have the written plan. We've all used these. A cookbook is a plan. For men, that's those instructions that come with something new that you go and find after you realise you can't actually assemble the thing you unpacked. And you've got some bits and bobs and think. And then you have to wade through all the different nationalities, all the different languages, and you find, they're the instructions. They're the plan. There's the model. Now, shipbuilders of old always used models. A miniature, because they'd got the crafts skill and made wood. And that gives someone a really good image of what they were going to invest in. This is what the ship will look like. We use them a lot in buildings to show people what this wonderful housing estate is going to look like. And you fit in there. Horrible, isn't it? But they do give a 3D version, a good picture, more detail than perhaps the written plan. And then there's the last sort of plan. I call this one the action plan, or the leap of faith. And then we all have these. They go like this. One day I'm going to be Prime Minister. One day I'm going to retire. One day I'm going to pay the mortgage off. They look at the end, not so much about the detail of the other two, are looking at the detail in the bits in between. But these plans are more like a strategy. They look at the end, they concentrate, and you get there. Things get in the way, but you get there. So they are the three sorts of plans. So does God have these plans? Well, his written plan is in front of us all, the Bible. And I don't mean the sort of hidden secret plans that might be in Revelation. I mean, it's a plain, simple plan that he maps out for his people. He chooses the people. He guides them. They become a nation. It's all planned out in the Bible. The prophets relay God's plan to the people, even to the point of saying there will be a Messiah. And then when the Messiah comes, he tells us some detail of the plan. And I quote, "My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you?" That's how confident Jesus was in the plan. And like all good plans, of course, there are instructions. 10 Commandments. And the best instruction of all. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind. And love your neighbour as yourself. So that's God's written plan. What about his model? Well, God's not going to do anything by half, is he? He doesn't give you just a 3D model, a scaled down version. He gives you a life-size model. And not only life-size, full of life. We have Jesus, our model. And he lives a model life. He gives us the perfect example. A model of obedience. Even unto death. Death on a cross. Yet not my will, but yours be done. I should have just done that one for Jesus. And then last of all, the action plan. No plan is worth the paper or the model unless it actually happens. You need the action. You need the leap of faith to commit and do it. All the drawing and all the modelling gives you the reassurance of what you're going to do. But to get there, you're going to actually have that leap of faith and do something. So Jesus, not content with revealing the plan and the scriptures that were leading to him, taking the time after the resurrection to meet the disciples and explain that to them, not content with giving us a model to live by, he was the plan in the crucifixion. He lived it out in action. Contingency plan. How can Jesus be the contingency plan, an afterthought? He was there. He is the plan. The plan was there at the beginning. John knew this. He was in the beginning with God. He was in the world, and the world came into being through him. Yet the world did not know him. God's plan does seem quite difficult to comprehend if we keep looking at the detail, the everyday items, and lose focus on the end. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord in Isaiah. We need to prevent ourselves getting bogged down in the details of the plan and keep our eyes on the leap of faith. We've seen that God has a written plan. We've seen that he has a model in that plan. And we've seen that he has the leap of faith, the action in that plan. So these are things to look for. We are the method, the ignition of those plans. But for those plans to work, we need God. We need God's blessing. We need to be focused on God to know what those plans are. How do we do that? Well, we can pray to God and communicate and connect with God. And God will use everything in the world to help us. All the materials and ourselves, our abilities. So we hear the call. We receive a blessing from our prayers. The breath of God, if you like. And the materials. Everything we need to make those plans work. God will give us, whether they are in our abilities or actual physical things around us. So that's what the plan looks like. And those three ingredients all come together. And without those three ingredients all coming together, we haven't got a plan. God's plan involves us. It certainly involves him. And it involves his creation. So, keep calm. Be reassured. God does have a plan. And you're in it. Thank you.